What a fitting song as we get into a brand new hour of the show in a moment. Give away our first trip to Vegas of the day to hang with us at multiple different pool parties at the Palms. It's Double Down, Klein Alley Show, back to the Palms. And I think the first batch of calls we'll take just after 7 o'clock involve people that either can't swim or almost drown.
Yeah, and Vanessa almost drowned. That's how she lost her teeth.
A lot of people have stories, and we've decided this is who we should have at a pool party, is people that are terrified of the water. So we will hear your stories, and potentially that scores you a trip to Vegas coming up next hour. But first, your news here on KROQ.
Grab your Adderall. It's time for some ADD news. Oh, look, a lizard. I'll call you Scaly.
All right, Klein, years ago, we were with a company called CBS Radio.
God, the good old days. Love that company.
Were they good old days?
Oh, they were great. They were great.
Still cheaper than ever and trying to make things work. And it has since merged and changed over the years. But even though CBS made millions selling CBS Radio, they have not been doing very well.
Billions.
That's right. It was billions.
They
but
sold
now
billions.
The company that does, they don't just have CBS. It's Paramount Plus and Nickelodeon and stuff. Paramount already has lost $500 million just this year. And they have announced some major changes because they're preparing for yet another merger. The CEO of Paramount Plus is out, and on NFL Today, they have fired the hosts. Phil Simms and Boomer Esiason are both out, and now Matt Ryan is going to be stepping in. And I imagine that there's going to be even more changes as it goes on.
Yeah, I guess that's what happens when you're somewhere for a long time. You make a lot of money, even if you're a good employee. I mean, I always liked Boomer and Phil. I mean, I've never known pregame football probably my entire life without them. I mean, I remember when Boomer played a little bit. I was pretty young. But
yeah, I don't
I remember them, all the NFL pregame people on no matter what network, they're all older than dirt. I mean, they've been doing it forever.
But that's kind of comforting, isn't it?
There's a comfort to it.
Old.
But I think even, who's the guy on Fox, that's Terry Bradshaw, I think he's losing it, right? Because this was the last.
He has gone crazy.
Yeah, this was the last season.
Yeah, but a good crazy, right?
I got your butt.
Right. Well,
I want to watch that crazy all the time.
Yeah.
There's something about him. He's so likable.
He is
so
likable,
weird.
but he says things that definitely now are borderline problematic, and you go, lock that man away. But, these guys, they're all getting paid great because they've been doing it a long time, and the NFL makes a ton of money. And then eventually they look at it and they go, Matt Ryan, he's out of a job. We could probably get him in here for a couple mil, and we could shave Boomer's salary, which I'm sure was, doing great at this point. Phil Simms has been around forever. That guy was probably he's probably making $30 million a year doing that.
Wow.
Maybe more.
And
these guys,
when football's not on, they're just chilling, right?
Of course.
That's amazing.
But they got they'll do draft stuff and this and that, but he'll probably get picked up by another network. I don't know. I feel like now the games are on Amazon, games are everywhere else. I think Apple's making a play now for games too. They're going to find people.
Well, and this is also just part of the watering down of streaming services, right? Everybody has way too many choices now, and the amount of subscribers worldwide are going down. And Paramount only has 70 million of them, which is not a lot compared to the amount of people that have streaming services. So
are you serious?
Yeah.
That number sounds so huge.
Yeah, but there's hundreds of millions of people that have streaming services,
Man, I guess you're right.
All right.
Wow.
Klein, there's something that you're right about and something that you are horribly wrong about. Which one do you want to hear first?
Well, I'm sure if you look at both of them, I'll be right about both eventually. But go ahead. Give me the one I'm wrong about. Let's start with that.
Okay. So they have done a new study, and this is something that you talk about regularly on the show, and this study seems to prove you wrong. Because they have found out that women are able to stand the cold better than men. They found that women were better able to maintain their core body temperature in a recent study as their environment got cooler.
Because of hot flashes.
They had better insulation against the cold. Actually, the reason is even more offensive than that.
Big fat asses.
That's right, Jake. At the National Institute of Health in Bethesda, Maryland.
Hey, shout out, hometown.
They said women may have more protection against the cold as they tend to have more body fat than men do.
Yeah, that's right, Allie. Yeah, once again, Allie's mushing women. She's losing weight. They finally found out.
I'm the opposite of mushing.
Right, you are.
I wish I could mush them more.
And by the way, I never said that women cannot handle the cold better than men.
You said women are always cold. You say that all the time.
Women are always cold, and they definitely complain about being cold way more than men,
But
and they're
this is
indecisive
that we
about.
can withstand the cold way better than men.
You're right.
Can.
Women are tougher than men in general across the board when it pertains to all things illnesses, common colds, childbirth.
Oh, man. You with a cold is the...
Yeah, women are tougher than men. I will admit that, and I've said that many times. But they definitely will complain.
And I would agree that you don't complain about being cold in this office, and this office is very cold. But
Doesn't
when
bother
we went
me.
up to Snow Summit, you were like complaining about it being cold the entire time, and I was fine.
Yeah, because you have all that fat. Thank you, science.
Now, something that you are doing, that more and more people are doing, Klein. You owned a home at one point, but your 2 years was up. You decided to sell it. Now
Yep.
you're renting every place in L.A.
That's right.
And according to a new study, renting in general is more affordable than owning a home in all 50 major cities in America. Of course, that highly depends on your interest rate and how much you have to pay for repairs on your house and maintenance and then the HOA fees. But in the U.S., the average mortgage is $2,700 a month and the average monthly rent is $1,900 a month.
I just remembered thinking, I couldn't wait to own a house because I felt like when I owned it, it would be my house. But then I realized when you own the house, you don't, unless you pay cash up front, which I couldn't do. The bank owns the house, and you still have to pay the bank. You're still
but
cutting a check every month.
Is it like my dad says, where they're like, you're writing yourself a check every month?
No, it didn't feel like it. And it felt like whenever there was an issue, I couldn't just be like, someone else handle it. It was like I was the someone else. So when there was an issue, I was like, oh, man, I got to deal with that now. I got to pay for that. And it was just a lot. I didn't want to deal with it. And I found it to be more annoying. But
Yeah,
I'm
I can
sure
see that.
in the long run, yes, I'm sure.
Well, it depends on
They
the
always
house,
say
too.
that's how you want to build long-term wealth, his own
right.
property.
Yeah, this is
Properties.
Omar's like the opposite of you.
Right.
This is
he just
my
wants
plan.
to
Yeah,
own
totally.
more and
this
more
is
and
what I
more.
decided to kind of like my path or whatever because I don't know squat about stocks and all
Yeah,
that.
but they
BS,
said
you know?
that the longer you own, like you will make the money back and it will be profitable. It'll just take longer.
Yeah,
you know,
well.
with rent, there's really no end game.
Here's the end game for this hour. A trip to Vegas for you. We kick it off right now.
Klein Alley Show. Let's go!
I don't have a clue.
There is no KROQ now without Ali and Klein.
106.7 KROQ FM in HD Pasadena, Los Angeles, Orange County. This is the world famous KROQ.
Welcome to a brand new hour of the show. Starts for you and yours right now on KROQ. If you're new to the show, nice to meet you. 3-day challenge. Give us 3 days and you will make up your opinion one way or another. But this week is a good week to give us 3 days because it could end up with you in Las Vegas. That's right. Klein Alley Show doubling down back to the Palms. We took a bunch of listeners there last year and everyone survived, made it back. We're still tight, actually pretty friendly with most of the people that went on that trip. Real regulars, Bud Light Bros, met those guys. One Arm Gary, met that
Did you
dude.
say Regos?
Regulars, I think I said, but I may have given up in the middle of the word.
Okay.
This hour on the show,
like Regos.
we have
like
for you.
Regos.
Hey, Regos.
I've been a rego all my life.
Yeah, that is so true.
Go, my Rego.
We got trip this hour, doubling down. We will put you up a couple of nights. Palms Casino Resort, Friday, Saturday. All the Ghost Bar access you can handle. We got ourselves a pool party, cabanas, etc. Saturday daytime, then another pool party happening at night. Live performance, Yachtly Crew, the world's greatest yacht rock cover band, and that's all the stuff we can talk about publicly. Then there's a bunch of other stuff that we cannot yet get into publicly.
Oh, I know. And think about all the things that we shared on the air about our Las Vegas trip and how many things we could not share. Because there were a lot of things that happened that we cannot talk about on the radio or we would get fired.
So this hour,
This is the news actually covered it, remember?
Certainly going to Sin City can sting sometimes, but usually it's your wallet that takes the hit, not your genitals.
that was our last trip. I remember that. Thanks for keeping track of that audio.
Thanks,
Yep,
Palms.
yep.
That was right. So anyway, we will get you in this hour, and we want to hear from you if you are an adult and do not know how to swim, or better yet, you almost drowned, or you did drown, and then somehow
I
they
don't know
CPR'd you, and you're
why.
back.
I've always thought it was so funny, adults who can't swim. Like, my
It's the
father-in-law
greatest.
can't swim, and it's so funny. Because anytime we're around a pool or an ocean, I'm like, what are you going to do? You scared?
I don't think Johnny can swim. Johnny, you can't swim, right? Is Johnny the one who can't
Oh,
swim?
he could swim.
You
Dog,
can?
I was on a swim team in high school, bro. I'm not one of these dorks that doesn't know how to swim.
No, he always wants to do, like, swim. He wants to do, like, lap competitions.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to do the cannonball competition.
Yeah.
That's what he wants to do.
Well,
I want to
anyway.
have a chicken fight in Vegas. This is the second or third time I mentioned
All
it.
right,
I
no,
want to
all
have
right.
it.
Who's the one?
What makes you think
Van-
he
All right,
can't
let's have a
swim
chicken
out of
He's so
playing a
upset.
all the
chicken.
things that he's pitched? All of them are swim ideas.
Yeah, that's pitching a lot of pool ideas. Anyway, this hour we'll get to your stories about that coming up, and lots more. So thanks for hanging out.
Klein Alley Show.
Klein Alley Show.
KROQ. KROQ.
Another trip coming up next hour. Then we ching, 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 ching. That's the sound of a slot machine. Once again, if you're unfamiliar with the
That's why I
show,
played it, Vegas,
that's right. Thank you. Ching, 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 ching. Love that
A
slot.
lot of money.
Ching, 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 ching. That's the sound of someone winning at the slots. Thank you once again, Omar. That's good.
Why don't we move on before we get canceled?
Allie, do you remember that one of the last times I was in Vegas, I was at a slot machine for hours, and it did nothing for me. And then I turned around to go to the ATM, and that's when another man stepped up, and this is the sound of a man winning $1 million right next to me.
Johnny Jackpot! Let's go! Let's go!
My machine, by the way. Listen how happy he is. That is pure happiness.
It makes me so angry.
My machine, $1.6 million this guy won.
That's a guy, too, that I know is going to not spend the money well.
No.
Holy sh**! Let's go! Let's go!
Felt like he was rubbing it in at this point.
$6 million!
I know, 1 point.
Seems like he's rubbing it in when he's going, 1.6 million!
Yeah!
It sounds like he's screaming in your face, by the way.
Yeah, he is almost. He's yelling at my face because he had come up to the machine a few times, and I was like, I'm still on this one.
It's like, you just withdrew another $300 with a $10 fee.
So that is the sweet sounds of a ching, 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 and you'll hopefully get to experience it yourself in Vegas with us next hour as we give away another trip. But right now, your news.
Grab your Adderall. It's time for ADD News. Se habla español.
Hola.
Oh, wait, we don't.
So let me start with a beautiful, heartwarming story about some students in need and the most beloved stoner food of all time. The company that makes cup noodles, Nissin Foods, is helping students who need financial assistance and demonstrate well-balanced academic careers. They're offering $10,000 in scholarship money to graduating high school seniors who go above and beyond and can prove that they not only need the money but deserve the money. They're going to have up to 10 $1,000 scholarships that'll be awarded to different students
That sucks.
in Southern California, or they can choose to do 2 $5,000 scholarships. So they can maybe play with the money a little bit and say, hey, you deserve this much, this much, this much.
But can I ask you a question in all seriousness? $1,000 is better than no money, yes. But $1,000 scholarship, that's not... They'd be better off just saying, we will give you all of the cup noodles you need your entire college, which... That was probably if I think of all the foods, it's going to cost them nothing, literally nothing. But it does feel nice to know I've got a meal for all 7 years of college.
Yeah, but I wonder if they were to offer free cup noodles for life, if someone would take that over a scholarship. I probably would.
I would,
just because over the course of time, I think I would spend more than I would for the scholarship money.
Yeah, and by the way, still with inflation and everything else getting jacked up. You can still go get cup noodle for 50 cents.
Right.
So
it just kind of stays the same.
Stays
cup
the same.
noodles. It'll really get.
My kids. They just discovered cup noodles, and I don't know what path to go down because cup of noodles is so easy to make, and they started to love it. But
and there's vegetables there right at the top. There's like a little tiny cut up carrots.
That
one piece of corn.
It's not so healthy, is my point, dude.
It's a little
so I don't know.
Come
it makes it so easy, and they really love it. And what my parents used to do is they used to drop a little egg in there for extra protein, and it makes it extra better. Yeah, so maybe I'll do that.
You do get a lifetime's worth of sodium in each cup, but still,
but it fills you out.
Yeah, it fills you out.
Makes you nice and bloated.
Yeah, it makes so you can't dehydrate.
There you go. All right, today in airline debacles, there's a couple things to mention. One, I thought I'd mention this since we always do old people secrets on Tuesdays. There's a 101-year-old woman.
Oh, this is the greatest. This story makes me so happy.
I know. So she keeps trying to fly American Airlines, but because of her age, there's some glitch that can't process her age properly. So she's 101, and she was born in like 1924 or something like that. But because of the glitch, it thinks she was born this year. So they keep sending somebody over to escort her as an unaccompanied minor. And so every time she tries to fly, they mistake her for a baby, and they have somebody come and like escort her to. They're like expecting a baby, and they just see this old lady.
It's the
ready
greatest.
to take a flight.
It's so great, and this has happened many times.
Many times, and she keeps trying to fly the same airline, who keeps making the same mistakes.
But when you get to be that age, you almost go back to being a baby again.
I mean, if
applesauce is
they're
your meal.
giving her the care of an unaccompanied minor, she probably needs the same care that she would as a 101-year-old woman in a wheelchair.
That was
Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, that was the craziest part of that Benjamin Buttons thing is that the guy was, the baby was born as an old man. But in some ways, I remember, like, when you deal with really old people, you are almost back to that same exact thing.
Yeah.
No, watch out. That's dangerous.
And trying to figure out what words they're saying and how they're saying them, you know?
It's all bananas and applesauce. You're, like, speaking for them. I think they're hungry.
Yeah. They're always trying to guess what they want. Secondly, we have a fun new drunk pilot story I thought I'd share where a flight was supposed to take off from Dallas and go to Tokyo, but then the pilot got way too drunk at the hotel bar, and the police were called on him, and he was unable to fly the plane. And a hotel bar, it will get you. Especially if you have hours to kill in a hotel bar.
Do you think the pilots say they're pilots? Like, because it's a flex, you know? Because
I think they wear their little suits around, so they're like pilot flexing
No, not
everywhere.
at the bar, though. I don't think it's one of those things.
I think he was going to go to the airport, though.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be dressed for work?
I guess if he's a functioning
those guys
alcoholic.
get laid left and right, man.
Oh, I know.
With their little uniforms.
Yeah, no, I
I
agree.
would wear my uniform everywhere just because I feel like it makes me look cooler.
Why don't you start wearing
And-
it and test that theory out?
They probably get a lot of freebies too. I would imagine.
Yeah.
They probably get
Absolutely.
free drinks, man.
Yeah, that's dangerous. Because I do see at the airport when I'm in line behind a pilot, they get like a sweet discount at the airports a lot of times. And then I'll like go next, and I'll be like, I'm with that guy, you know.
I'm with that guy with the tiny suitcase.
They're like, no, you're not. Full price.
Klein, Alley, Show! Mornings on KROQ.
106.7 KROQ.
Grab your Adderall. It's time for ADD News. Don't change the station or I get beaten.
So, if you've seen any of those house flipping shows, congrats, you've probably reached middle age. The idea seems great. You got a crappy house, then a crew comes in and remodels all of it. The family makes money selling it, or they have the house of their dreams. Everyone's happy. But apparently there's a dark side to this industry, and I've heard of a few horror stories, but this one is a first. And Todd Hill, who starred on Flip It to Win It on HGTV.
I don't ever want to do a house flipping show. I just want to come up with the names for the shows because they've come up with every possible variation.
What rhyme with flip?
Flip,
or flip it,
house,
or
first
pass
flip,
it, love it and leave it,
$1 million flip,
list it or love it.
flip time, flippy.
Flip you.
So he has been. That one was terrible.
Jake is not having a great show today. I got to be honest. Jake makes me laugh a lot, but today is not his day. He has had a couple of bombs.
I mean, the para-loser one was bad.
That one we just moved right past it.
Pair of losers.
All right. Jake is having a very off day today.
I think the no sex is finally starting to get to him.
It's exploding. His head is just a real problem.
So, anyway, he's been sentenced in California for committing real estate and financial fraud against 11 different people. And he would spend millions on these over-budget remodels, and then he would launder the profits and pocket the money. And I don't know exactly how this works, but he had been doing it on the show, and now he's finally getting held accountable, and he's probably going to do prison time.
Omar, this is what you do, right? Same thing?
No, I don't flip houses. No, I just rent them out. I just buy them. But this is interesting. So he would do legit renovations, and then what's problematic about it?
Yeah, what you just described, Allie, that is going to put this guy in jail. To me, I thought that's what flippers do.
Yeah.
I don't know what flippers do, but I feel like there's always money. There's always quick things happening. They're always doing well.
I knew a lot of these shows were doing these renovations, but they were using super cheap material and inexperienced construction workers, and the house will fall apart within a couple of years.
Well, you know what I think was happening? Because it says he would spend millions on over-budget remodels and then launder the profits. I think what he was doing is telling the people, here's how much it costs, and it was like an insane amount of money, but he was really getting it for much cheaper, and then he was pocketing the money and using that for other things.
Because I think I had heard the story,
smart.
similar to what Omar had said, where they were doing these like renovation shows for the families that needed like more ramps in the house for the kid in the wheelchair, and then like they would do it all kind of.
There was a few years where it was just all ramp stuff.
A lot of ramp stuff. But what ended up happening is as soon as the family would move back in, they got their big, tearful episode, and then they'd all move out of town, and the ramps would all start falling apart.
Yeah.
And then it was like, what are we doing now? We have this rampless house.
Yeah, but some of them would be so customized to the family that it would then become useless. It'd
Right.
be really hard to sell because
Right.
it would just be like, okay, well, here's the Minnie Mouse room that this one kid loved
Yep.
and, has built-in customizations, and nobody wants that crap. Everyone wants white walls and generic stuff when they're selling
There
houses.
was that great show, like Swingers, where they would swap with their neighbor. That had another one of those dumb names, House Swap or Wife Swap or something like that.
There was a lot of swapping.
What was it called, Vanessa?
Wife swap? Swap?
No, I think you're fantasizing.
No,
This
I
was-
think you're talking about trading spaces.
That's the one, Omar.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
and they would go into their neighbor's house and they would do it up. And I feel like they always hated it. They would like hate each other at
Totally.
the end.
Yeah,
I remember there was one lady that put artificial turf on the wall. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, because everyone thinks you could just do something weird, and everyone's like, they're a genius. They put seashells on the ceiling, and
after
then
the ramp phase, there was trading phase.
yeah, and then you get back like, God, I hate this neighbor. I'm gonna move the hell out of here.
All right, there's a new trend in the world of gardening. I didn't know there were that many new trends in the world of gardening, but
Tell me
apparently
more.
this is the biggest thing since succulents, Omar.
Okay.
Going number one on your own plants.
I do it.
Wait, I think that kills the plant.
Wait,
Every time I do it does.
I do it
Wait,
all the time.
how many people on the show are already urinating on their plants?
I do it every night.
Dude, I don't want to waste water.
Wait a minute.
That's smart.
Quick, Klein, you are number oneing on your plants?
Yeah, because I try to keep the coyotes away
So you're doing this on your outside plants?
on the ferns or whatever the
Do you yell
ficuses
alpha
are.
while you do
yeah,
it?
yeah. I just go.
So you do
"Urgh."
it intentionally on outside?
Well, I have to take my dog out first thing in the morning before I come in here, and the dog
and you have to
sometimes.
take yourself out too?
And the dog will just lay there, and I'm like, "Come on, like you got to go to the bathroom. I can't leave." So I will go, so he gets inspired, and then he'll go, try to like one up me.
Whoa, that is so strange.
But also, I do think it keeps the
does he
coyotes
go
away.
on the ferns? Like does the dog go on top of yours?
Not on top, but near.
Okay, well you're doing it wrong.
Oh, well, I'm not changing now.
So here's the thing. If you want to do this, they say that it will really help your plants because there's something in our urine that will really give the plants the nutrients that it needs, but you need to dilute it with water so that the acid doesn't burn the leaves. If you just go on it, it's
Right.
not good for it. But
I'm not doing
you're
that.
supposed to save it,
Yeah,
bring it
okay.
inside, water it down,
Sure.
and then
What?
you make like a urine cocktail
doing this?
for your dude.
No, I
a
like
lot
it
of
on
people are
plants.
doing this, both amateur gardeners and professional ones, and they are collecting their whole family's urine
Whoa.
and then pouring it on their plants. And then I would imagine if you're a professional gardener, you're probably growing vegetables and then
Yeah.
selling those to people.
You know that tomato
And
you're
pea
eating?
plants.
That is a family recipe.
And you could smell the asparagus.
We get
that I
into
ate.
a brand new hour of the show right now with a sweet treat for you.
Klein Alley Show.
Hey guys, sweet dibbins, dong dong. Love you guys, great show.
That's the problem.
106.7 KROQ FM in HD Pasadena, Los Angeles, Orange County. This is the world famous KROQ.
It's the most important decision you'll have to make today. Would you like to go see Cannons or Cage the Elephant? Both very intimate shows, both happening right here at KROQ in the helpful Honda Sound Space. And the only way to get in is to win yourself in right now. Caller 20 looking for you, 800-520-1067. You'll have a chance every hour, all day long, starting now, straight up through 6 p.m. And you pick your poison. Want to do Cage? Allie and I will be at that one.
Yep.
Those guys are always a good time. And they got some great songs. Is Neon Pill that we're playing now?
Dude, I woke up with that song in my head this
man.
morning. Yeah, it's a good one.
Or Cannons, of course, as well. It's really a win-win. You can't go wrong, but whatever you want, we'll make it happen for you. Caller 20 as we kick off this hour of the show. We also have another trip to Vegas to give away. If you want to double down the Palms with Klein Alley Show, well, you'll have the opportunity coming up later this hour. Just be ready to call and be ready to win. And please just don't suck. What does Omar say? No lame-os, right?
Yes, that's
No
right.
lame-os. So we will get into that as we get into this brand new hour of the show, plus another Old People Secrets. If you would like to live forever, we give you the gift of eternal life. That's all coming up here on KROQ. I know you're thinking, man, those two look funny.
And we agree, and so do our parents.
So we need to get some plastic surgery, and the only way we can afford that is if you listen to our full radio show every day live on KROQ or download the podcast.
Yeah, which is all free, so I don't really know how we're making money on that, because
Or
we
not.
get paid terribly.
Yeah, it's a really bad situation, which is why she's got on no makeup, and I'm wearing a shirt that I found in Lost and Found.
I am wearing makeup.
You are?
Yes.